Okay, so we got shortchanged today. We had a short class, so I want to finish these notes up for you on video here. So we were doing converting from polar r theta to rectangular, and we said that x would be r cosine theta, and that's going to be, if I put that in my calculator, it's going to be 3.5. Y equals negative 4 sine theta, and that equals 2. So if I have this polar point, it's going to correspond to this rectangular point, 3.5, 2. All right. Okay, so let's graph that. 3.5, 2, and let's graph on the polar. This is D. I'm graphing it on the polar plane. I'm going to go to 2 pi, oh, excuse me, I'm doing this one. 7 pi over 6, which I know to be about here. There we go. This is 7 pi over 6 in a positive direction. So from 0 around to here. And then I have a negative radian. So I just go out 1. So if I remember how these work, if I draw these in here. So I would go positive 7 pi over 6 and negative 4, which would give me a D. Put that D point there, and look, the point is in the exact same place, this by a polar point, this by a rectangular point. All right, moving on. So we want to convert the other way. We want to take it from rectangular, where I have x, y, but I want a polar coordinate, r theta. So we're going to start in the very same place. There's a triangle. This is the cosine, this is the sine, r. Now, instead of the same formula, we're going to think about, we want an r. Pythagorean, this angle and x, y, and theta. We know that the tangent of theta is the opposite over the adjacent, y over x. And from here, if you remember from our unit on vectors, how do we get theta? Theta is equal to the inverse tangent of y over x. So let's box in that formula, and that's how we get theta. Okay? So let's do these couple problems. So we have x, y, we want r. So r is equal to the square root of x squared plus y squared. 4 squared plus negative 4 squared equals the square root. 4 squared is 16. Negative 4 squared by itself is 16. R equals the square root of 32. That is not simplified. So I want to think about the largest factor that is also a perfect square. Things like 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. Well, the largest one I can think of is 16. So R equals radical 2, radical 16. I can solve that radical 16, so this becomes 4 radical 2. So that's my R value. Now let's do the theta. Theta is equal to the inverse tangent of y over x. Y over x. Now, when I solve for theta, I actually solve for the positive. With the positive x and y's, 4 over 4. What is that? That's the inverse tangent of 1, which equals pi over 4, 45 degrees, okay? 45 degrees, which equals pi over 4. But let's think about 45 degrees and this, where this is going to be. When you're figuring out theta, you use the positive values, but then, so, I can't spell. Use positive values, then what quadrant? What quadrant? This point is in what quadrant? Positive, negative. It's in quadrant 4. So let's write that up here. This is in quadrant 4. Okay, quadrant 4. So let's draw that. So I have a 45-degree angle in quadrant 4. So the question is, well, I'm trying to find theta. So I know that it's this angle, right? So, drawing a little better. What is the positive angle? I know that this is negative pi over 4, negative 45, so what is this positive angle? What's theta in a positive sense? Theta equals 7 pi over 4, right? Because if I'm going in a positive direction, I start at 0, and I travel 7 pi over 4 to get here. The same way I got here, negative pi over 4. Let's do it again. We want to do r equals square root negative 3 squared plus 3 radical 3 squared. R equals 9 plus, how do we do this? Remember how to do this. 3 squared. 3 squared is 9. Radical 3 squared is 3. And these two are multiplied together. So now I have the square root of 9 plus 27, which equals the square root of 36, which equals 6. So let's go back here for a minute. We had our theta here, and we had r was 4 radical 2, and theta was 7 pi over 4. So now for this point, this converts to r is 6, and we got to find theta. So theta equals the inverse tangent, use the positive values, of 3 radical 3 over 3. What quadrant is it in? It's negative x, positive y. It's in quadrant 2. So this is quadrant 2. So when I calculate this, those cancel, right? So now I want the angle whose tangent is radical 3. Well, that's a 60-degree angle in the second quadrant. So if I draw that, right, that looks like that. So if this is 60 degrees in the second quadrant, what is this angle, the positive angle? Well, that's going to be positive 120, or theta equals 2 pi over 3. So my point is r is 6, theta is 2 pi over 3. Okay? So from there, go ahead and finish your homework. Okay, see you tomorrow.